everyone, and welcome to another episode of Our Sinclair. It's a show where two lowly hillbilly types take a look at the standout European-centric machine, the ZX Spectrum. This time out, the BRENT, we're going to be taking a look at a game called Green Beret, a.k.a.
Russian Attack.
And we'll get into that in a little while. But before we get too far down the line, and there's a couple of little bits of business I want to talk about. First off, right at the front of the show, I want to send out a special thank you very much to our good buddy, Happy Coding, over at the Midnight Brew, who took his time to rig up 7 ZX Spectrum games that we used for the High Score Challenge at Boat Fest this year. It went over great.
Yeah.
And Happy Cody, and you've heard us talk about Happy a few times on the show. In fact, we've looked at maybe one or two of his games on here. Happy took his library of arcade conversions from the ZX Spectrum, plus a couple from one of his fellow programmers at the Midnight Brew, and he actually changed them specifically for Boat Fest. They had Boat Fest on the game. It was in a special one up mode, and it really was a big hit, wasn't it?
It was, and the little changes really made it feel special.
Yeah, it sure did. And we had, and thanks to all the boys who helped us rig up 7 different ways to play ZX games, including authentic ZX and portable emulators and everything in between. We had all sorts of things, but and so ZX was up and proud at Boat Fest. So please check out Happy Coding's work over at the Midnight Brew. I'll have a link down in the show notes for you to go check out what he's got on offer over there. They do a lot of charitable work too, and I wanted to make sure we shouted them out. Our appreciation, being ZX Spectrum connoisseurs as we are.
Absolutely.
Now, let's get into more of the subject at hand here. I mentioned we're talking about Green Beret, a.k.a. Russian Attack. And Brent brought up earlier that it might be fun to start to discuss these one-man army games that were so popular back in the early 80s. What do you think? Why do you think these games caught on and were so popular in the arcades back in those days?
Well, it's the you get to be a hero, you get to be the adventurer mindset first of all. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
Plus, in the arcades there were limited things you could do, and of course that's what spawned most of the games in the 80s were arcade hits. So you were limited somewhat by your hardware, and doing the one-man army thing was the new trend at the time. The killing Space Invaders was starting to go out, so they were starting to bring in the new kind of wave of play.
Yeah.
And, of course, that led into later the fighting games. But it's weird how periods of time really have if it works for these people, let's take that concept and roll with it. And it got up to the point where one-man army games, your Contras, your Green Beret, your Rambos, that kind of stuff, it made incredible strides, and some of them were just spectacular games.
Yeah, and I think I noticed Santaro in the chat, it was thinking exactly what I was. I would assume that one of the things that kicked off that genre of gaming were the movies of the time, the movies of the era, which you had your Rambos, you had your Predators, you had your Cobras, you had all these games, or all these movies where one man went out and crushed them.
Or Alien, one woman.
Yeah, and very good. And so, when you watch a game like that, you can see how, it's not a far stretch to think to yourself, did this spawn Commando? Did this spawn Mercs? Did this spawn a game like Green Beret?
Gunsmoke.
Yeah, those games are pretty, that you could tie them most directly to films or TV.
Sure.
And which if you think about it, that's probably sort of the same way Space Invaders came around too. People were into sci-fi, so somebody thought that'd be a cool idea for a game, and lo, it came to pass. Did you have a favorite amongst that crowd in the arcade?
I really liked Commando. I really liked Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
It's odd. They're both vertical scrolling shooters, which is much different than what this is. But I played Russian Attack in the arcade a ton.
Yeah.
A ton.
It was everywhere. Convenience stores, arcades. When it came out, I saw it a lot. I would say, and I'm sort of slant on this because we had this at the pizza place I worked at, but I thought it was a pretty fun system. I liked Heavy Barrel, the one-man game where it had the segmented joystick that you used. I think that added a lot to these sorts of games.
Of course, Akari Warriors was the predecessor.
I liked it better than Akari Warriors.
Oh, it was a better game, but it also came out later.
Akari Warriors, Contra, Commando, Russian Attack. All these games had one thing in common for me, which is that I sucked at them. I mean, here's the thing. This is a genre that I don't like. I can
understand that.
I don't like it because I'm no good at it, and I want to be good at it, but I just never have been any good at any of them. I'd say I was the best of the bunch at Mercs, but we owned Mercs, so I got to play that one more than most. And
we owned the control panel to Mercs.
Right, and it's even that one's not one I was clamoring to get my paws on back in the day. So it's not a genre that I was real good at.
I'll have to say, probably of all of them in the arcade, I probably played Russian Attack as much as any of the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, because Russian Attack was, early, mid-'80s?
Yeah.
So I would have been...
Mid-'80s.
Yeah, I would have been 10, 11 or so.
Yeah.
And that's some good playing. The only problem was it was a absolute quarter muncher. It was... I mean, if you played for 45 seconds, if you told someone that, they would believe you, because you can certainly die that fast.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It definitely stuck to the rule of 3 minutes.
yeah, and it's funny in chat. Bo just asked what makes a big difference between this sort of game and Bad Dudes, and it's a huge quantum difference because when you had those side scrolling fighters, I didn't find them as difficult. And one of the reasons was it's a lack of options for you and the enemy. Whereas like in a game like Green Beret or Commando, I mean, and I will say Russian Attack, and to a certain degree it's sort of comparable to something like Bad Dudes, where there are multiple levels, but the enemies aren't as rampant and aren't not as deadly as the ones in Green Beret. So I find it an easier game.
I mean the play style between Bad Dudes and Green Beret are very similar. Very similar.
But I mean, they don't feel the same at all.
Oh no, the major difference is with Russian Attack or Green Beret, it's one hit kill.
Yeah,
and
that's another thing.
And the difficulty was definitely tuned to eat your quarters.
Yeah,
I mean it was amped up. The difficulty was amped up to 11, and Bad Dudes, I mean, it was a hard game, but it was nothing like this.
Yeah, and I think they had, and because Bad Dudes, of course, was the Data East joint.
And you can play 2 players with Bad Dudes.
Bad Dudes, they had tweaked that sort of formula to make it a little more, a little less daunting. Because games like Commando and the Contra stuff, I would just get crushed and I'd never go back. I was like, I'm out. You know, because to get good at those games, you had to spend some money.
You had to dedicate. I agree.
Let's go ahead and jump into it, the Brent. Like we mentioned, this week we're looking at Green Beret. Now, this, of course, came from the arcades. Came from Japan. Was developed by Konami. Which, again, this game has all the trademark Konami jazz in it. And was released in Japan in October of 85 and made it over here in December of 85. And eventually made its way home into a whole slew of systems.
An unbelievable
We'll talk about that here in a minute. So in this game, you take on the role of U.S. Special Force Operations Green Berets. Green Berets come from the Army side of things. I have a buddy named Big Stevie Cool, who is an actual Green Beret. And I can tell you, just in case you ever wondered what it's like to go after the Green Beret, it's very difficult. The fallout rate is unbelievable. And he had to do stuff like go live in the woods, get tortured, get dropped off things, get the crap beat out of you, like swim with a bunch of weight on you. So it's Green Berets are elite level troops that have been through the crucible fire.
Yep.
So anyway,
and they get paid very well too.
And you need to have Green Beret level skills in this game. So it says here, it's just funny on the Japanese. So these are unnamed. The Green Berets you play in this are unnamed, and this is a hot seat game, but there conceivably are 2 Green Berets, according to the wiki. If you look at the Japanese Famicom ad for this game, they are named on that. That's the only place they've ever been named, as far as I know. Steve and Ben. That's not the flashiest of some names, but that's who you are. And your goal is to infiltrate the enemy's base and rescue POWs and get through 4 stages. This seems like a daunting task in any game, but in this game, the gimmick is you don't have a gun to start off. All you've got is like a hunting knife. That's all you've got. So you are going to cut and slice and stab your way through many, many enemies. Now, we mentioned that we are looking at Green Beret. In America, this was not called Green Beret. I don't know why they wouldn't call this Green Beret, but they came up with a much cheesier name, Russian Attack. Yep. That's RUSH space apostrophe N and then attack. Russian, like you're in a rush. The gimmick is, because it's the 80s, don't like the Russians.
Yeah.
So this game sort of simulated that you're going after the Russians. They sort of dress like Russians. Especially in the arcade, you can really tell.
Oh, yeah.
It's wintry. They've got the big coats on. So, like I said, I don't know why. It's odd to me that they would. It seems like it would be the exact opposite to me. It seems like in overseas they would call it Russian Attack, but over here we all know what Green Berets are. You would call it Green Berets. Pretty strange. I mentioned you go through 4 levels on this, and the levels are you start off at sort of like a missile launching area. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's like
a launch site.
Going across bridges. They call it the marshalling area. Then the second stage is the harbor. Then you've got an air base, and then you've got like a winter camp. I guess is the best way to call it.
Yeah.
And as you go through these, you're knifing your way through. Now, occasionally you will come across a particular trooper who will drop a weapon. The weapons aren't real exciting, if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean, if they're better than the knife, don't get me wrong.
I completely
but these aren't. Hold on a second. I played heavy barrel. You get the golden gun or something like that. In this, you get a gun or a flamethrower or grenades. Those are your options. And you better learn to love them, because that's all. And by the way, you get like 3 charges with these, and then
some weapons 3, some weapons 4. Yeah.
So that's it. And you have to get these off people that you kill. So there are no guns to start off. First of all, just before we get too far into this, your thoughts on that setup?
I do not like games that put you. I mean, the setup is fine. Just lone warrior going in to save POWs.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. But I think it is just ridiculous that they don't give you a gun at all. In my opinion, what would have made this better, or it's not even better, it's just this would have been an alternate way of doing it. Give you a gun that has like 6-9 shots, and then you have to pick up.
And then have like ammo drops as well? Okay, no ammo drops, huh?
No, then you're picking, because our weapons aren't calibered in the same caliber as most enemy weapons. So you would at least have that feeling that the army didn't just drop you in. I mean, this is literally a suicide mission.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You really, I guess they thought, well, he's a Green Beret. You know, we'll save a few bucks.
That's not a valid excuse.
That's the cheap of military. This is if I ran the military. It's like, listen, we can't afford guns or bullets. Go get a butter knife out of the drawer and go give it to Ben. Let him take over. So that's pretty much the setup for this. At the end of the levels, there'll be a like sort of a main guy you knock out.
Well, a boss. It's never
or a when we say
a
boss,
scenario,
an end area where you fight
Yeah.
1 to 3, I'd say.
Oh,
Well, no, there's
no.
a multiple guys at the very end.
yeah,
the
I'll
flamethrower.
go over that kind of crap.
So and then once you went all the way through this thing, it will loop and repeat.
and adds incredible difficulty. Not that you need to worry about that because you're never going to get.
I want to get in the arcade game a little bit more before we move into the ZX. And one of the things I want to say is, as Brent sort of mentioned earlier, this game was real popular.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. I saw this game all over the place. It's another one, much like Jungle Hunt or Jungle King. I saw this game in arcades, convenience stores, smallish arcades, like the back of video stores. This is one that made the rounds.
Yeah.
And I never understood why, because I never hardly ever saw anybody play it. But I mean, someone was playing it, but the difficulty on it was so hard that I thought to myself, and I don't think I ever went to the arcade and saw anyone be good at it either. Did you?
Me.
Well, okay.
And by good, I mean could get off the first level on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. Because I don't think this would have mass appeal. It definitely was an earner though, because when you did play it, it was like I said, a 45-second to 3-minute game, and you were out the door.
Yeah, it's just so difficult that it's one that I never got into all that much. It was very popular though. It was an extremely popular game. It was popular everywhere. It's popular in Japan, it's popular in the States, popular in Europe. And so, of course, when a game is popular like that, you know it's going to get thrown around. Now, normally I don't go through every system, and I'm not going to go through it today, but the sheer amount of systems, it's funny when some things get ported, it's at the right time, and it's the right game that they could do it on. So this one, of course, you had your the usual suspects, CPC, the BBC Micro, C64. Then you had stuff like the Atari 8-bit got a port, an official port. The Plus 4 got a port, apparently. The Game Boy Advance got a port for some reason. The MSX, the DS, the Switch. I guess it was some sort of assemblage or a download.
Compilation.
This was a Play Choice 10 cart. This was also on the Thompson, another one of your favorites. This made its way to the 360. It had a mobile version. And then the two I wanted to talk to you about were the Famicom disc version and the NES version. Did you have a cup of coffee with this back in your NES days?
I rented this multiple times.
I knew you did, because I remembered seeing it at the house. And one thing about this game that you always know when someone's playing it, because it's this annoying alarm that goes off.
It's not annoying. It's brilliant.
Well, listen. Does it fit the game? Yes. Does it tell everyone in the arcade what you're playing? Yes. But when you suck and you hear it, I heard that alarm a lot this week, and I've hit the wall on the alarm.
Yeah, the ZX Spectrum version, I mean, and the arcade and most of the ports don't have music, don't have level music. They have sound effects but no music.
Yeah.
But the distinguished siren effect at the beginning of each level is ingrained into your mind. If you've had any time with this at all.
That's true. It sure is. So how did the NES one hold up?
Terrifically.
Does it now? Because traditionally, NES games often divert from the arcade to add more stuff. Not this one.
No. This one played it pretty much by the arcade formula. It had continues, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
A limited number of continues, because that's what they used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very, very good version. Very good version.
I just, it's funny how memories creep in your head. I distinctly remember being at a Blockbuster or someplace and renting this, or renting it for you, or being with you when it was rented. And I distinctly remember going home and playing it and being horrible at it. And I remember thinking to myself, this sucks. I'm no good. And so, yeah, so I do remember that. So, of course, amongst the places this got ported, also traveled over to, bam, the ZX Spectrum. So we're going to talk about this, in particular, about the ZX version. Released in '86, so it didn't take him the turnaround was short on this one.
Yep.
Created by John M. Joppa Smith. Joppa worked on a lot of big games. In fact, we've covered a bunch of these things, including Batman, a Daley Thompson, Firefly, Hyper Sports, Mikey, but tons of stuff. So this guy was a real ace on the spectrum.
Yeah.
I believe his accomplice here, David Thorpe, was the was the guy who did the opening screen, the load screen. He did a lot of the same things. Bounty Bob Strikes Back, Blue Max, Bruce Lee, Hunchback. So another guy. These were like top guys, basically, when you're talking about gaming. This was a one-player experience on the ZX. It gave you a decent amount of configurations, including setup keys, the Kempston, the usual stuff you would expect on a game of this type back in the day. So in this game, of course, you're running this on the Spectrum. So I wondered how this would fare. And once you started up, what did you think about it when you started up? How did you think it looked? What were your first impressions?
I was a little saddened that they didn't have the little cutscenes.
Well, they do have the very first one.
Not really.
What do you mean?
Not the same.
The alarm goes off. The guys run past the dude's tied to the post.
Right. No, I'm talking about the end of level stuff.
Well, like that wasn't a big problem.
But the game looks and plays and really sounds really good.
Yeah.
The biggest complaint, and I think it's obvious if you see the footage, is all of the men, both you and your enemies and their weapons, are all black outlines.
Yeah. Monochrome.
Yeah. And they do that, of course, to make it so you're not hitting a bunch of color clash.
Right.
But they are able to push a surprising amount of enemies on the screen.
Yeah. I
was shocked.
I was shocked, and by shocked I mean scared, because I did what I usually do. I loaded this up, I played it, then I went back to the arcade version and tried it. I think I had more success and felt more at ease with the arcade version. This thing shoots men at you like they're going out of style.
Yeah.
I mean, so does the arcade version.
It does.
But I mean, I found this to be amazingly, and there are no difficulty settings.
The ZX is slightly slower, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, but I mean, they make up for it. That's for sure.
Well,
I never once thought it was slow. I'll be honest with you.
I didn't say it was slow. I said slower than the arcade.
So, could you, as you ran through it, how far? Because you played this, you were a pretty good hand in the arcade at this game.
Yeah.
Did it translate over?
Well, I haven't played Russian Attack in any serious manner for decades. So
Okay.
any skill that
But
I
it's
might
like
have
muscle
had,
memory.
no, it's not. I will say that the arcade, and maybe it's just the NES version. Maybe I'm remembering the NES version.
Yeah.
But they would throw a set of enemies at you. There were parts in the game that you always knew were going to produce this type of enemy. And when I say this type of enemy, the enemies can either just run at you, they can run and karate kick at you, they can walk, stop and shoot, or they can be ladder navigators, which means if you're above them and they come to a ladder, they go up or down.
I know the most annoying of that bunch, the hopping super kick guy.
Oh no, he's not that
Oh
bad.
my God! The thing is, when you have to fight him on top of the other guys, it's tough because you have to jump.
Yeah, you have to jump and stab. Well, you don't have to, but that's really how you take those guys out. So, in the arcade version, all the different enemies were different types of coats and came out in different types of clumps.
Yeah.
Like you would never have the first guy on a level be a kick enemy. In the ZX Spectrum version, that can happen and does happen.
Yeah.
Also, in the arcade and NES version, you got X amount of guns, or could kill a person and get a gun X amount of times per level. If I'm remembering this correctly. I didn't have a chance to go and test all this, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Whereas on this version, you might kill a guy, and then the guy right behind him you can kill and also get a gun. So it's kind of weird. It's like the ZX Spectrum version has the pool of guys that they can pull from, and then they just spew them out randomly.
Yeah.
There are exceptions. The boss fights, which I'll get into, are the same. People shooting mortars are set up where they're supposed to be set up.
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy, yeah.
The landmines, they don't have quite as many landmines as the arcade version, but they still have...
They were in the right spots.
Well, they still have set places for the landmines.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff you can rely on. But for the most part, they are just overwhelming you with enemies.
Now, I will say, one thing that I've got to say about this is that given the limitations, and you touched this, and I agree, I think they did a bang-up job graphically.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, and the thing is, listen, it's more confusing to play this than the arcade. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
It is it's a real pain.
Because the enemies aren't color-coded.
Yeah, and so you get lost in the background.
Yeah.
And so that is a problem.
And the
ladders are the same way. Depending on where the ladder's at, if there's a guy on it or whatever, it could be a real problem for you to get up and down the ladders because you can't necessarily see that they're there, particularly in certain vehicles and stuff.
I mean, I don't completely agree with that, but I understand what you're saying.
And when a guy's jumping and stuff, these things overlap in a way that makes it's easier to not see something, so that's a problem. But they do a good job. One of the things they did that I approved of was like the hopping guy, like he gets a noise, which that helps a lot. There really isn't that much noise in the arcade version except for like that tapping sound, you know.
Yeah.
This gets, at least you get that. And again, the alarm is well done. This runs at a 48K too, so it's not like you have to have the big dog. They did manage to include the end boss or the end areas, which I was impressed with.
All of them, too.
For what I saw of them.
Yeah.
The problems I had with the ZX version of this game are the problems I have with the arcade version. It's hard. They don't do you don't get enough weapons. The weapons don't last long enough. I did notice, now let me ask you if you noticed this. In the arcade version, when you die, it sort of punishes you more than this.
The arcade and the NES version, checkpoints. They have checkpoints. Once you get to a certain point,
okay,
if you die, you go back to a checkpoint. That can suck hard.
Yeah.
In the ZX version, when you die, you reappear exactly where you were with all of the hazards destroyed. If they were on screen, they're gone.
But you still get no weapon when you die.
Well,
if you died with a weapon in both instances, you never get the weapon.
No, you never get the weapon,
which is frustrating. You can die in less than 3 seconds on this.
Yeah.
Which the arcade pretty much just about the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the environments. I thought they did a pretty good job of recreating.
Yeah.
You know, given what you had to work with. There are some oddities in this, though. We got to talk about them. One, at the beginning of this game, once you're ready to play, it says stab to start, which I don't think I've ever seen a game that said that in it. Stab to start it's a great. That was a new one.
I mean, that's fair. Stab to start.
At the top of the ZX Spectrum version, there are 3. Your lives are denoted by Russian hammer and sickles.
Yeah, the iconology is a Russian.
So explain that.
I can't.
So whose side are we on here?
Yeah, I don't understand why they would have done that. No other version I've ever seen does that. It's usually just a little guy's head, depending on who your player, first player or second player.
I mean, I had to laugh. They do shrink the screen down somewhat in this, you know,
a little bit.
It's not what I would call egregious. They did nothing to make the top part look particularly awesome, but it's okay. So let's talk about the 4 different levels and the bosses you fight at the end of them.
Sure. On the first level, when you get to the end of the level,
this is the only one I saw in the game that I played, by the way.
A truck will pull to the end of the screen, and then it will just flood enemies at you of different varieties. Fast ones, jump kick ones, and slow ones. And it's the exact same as the arcade. The best way to beat it is hold a weapon until you get to the end of the level, and you can actually, there's 3 waves of them, and you have to kill all the guys. If you got the gun, you can just shoot 3 times as the waves come, and kill everybody.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's how I did it the one time. The 1 or 2 times I got past it, I would have the weapon that I could, because otherwise you just get the knife's not going to do it here.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's doable, but it's hard.
Not by me, it's not.
The second stage is the attack dogs. That stage you want to be in the middle, and they'll send attack dogs to the left and right of the screen in patterns. If they're coming from the left, they're going to be jumping dogs. If they're coming from the right, they're going to be running dogs. And each of them have their handlers. And they've got all the unique animations for the handlers, which is only a point. But still, that was really well done, and just like the arcade.
Yeah, it is. Because the guy's like sick 'em, basically.
Well, he doesn't say it, but yeah.
Well, I know. That's basically, that's what I got.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The third level is the hella chairs.
I saw a video of this.
Yeah.
It looks like something that was devised in, like, I don't know, the 1920s or something. It's like or something on Gilligan's Island. The bike copter.
Well, I mean, they exist.
Would you do that?
I couldn't get one off the ground
Yeah.
there. But there's 3 of them, and they shoot downward at you, and they'll swoop. And those are the only enemies that don't have death on collision. They have to shoot you, and they take multiple hits. And then the 4th level, on either side, you will have flamethrower fighters, and they will lay on the ground, shoot flamethrowers. You just have to jump over and
Let me ask you a question about the 3rd level guys, the chair guys.
Yeah.
And I was looking at chat. Texie brought up a point I was going to ask about, because he said he always kept this bazooka for those guys. How do you fight them if you only have the knife? Do you have to jump up there and stab them?
Well, they'll eventually swoop.
My God, though, how hard would that be?
Oh, it's not fun.
Because you've always got to assume that you're only going to have the knife.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem with this. Once you get, if you're man enough to get to the last level and finish it, it loops. That's the way it goes. Now, I will say, and I want your opinion on this because you're skilled. This game was hard, overwhelming. Okay, however, I did play this on and off. I would play this until I got angry. I was out of town
twice.
I was out of town for the weekend, but I played this. I had plenty of time last week to play it. I played some since I've been back in town. And I can only play this until I get mad. And then I just walk away, which happens every time. However, I was able to suck less as I went. And I got to the point where I could pretty much, I'm not going to say I can always get past the first level. And the reason is because there is some elements of randomness in who's coming out. And depending on where the hopping guy's at, or a guy that takes a pot shot, you can get to the point where it's practically impossible to survive. But generally, I learned the levels well enough, and I learned where the mines were, I learned where to get the weapons, that I could almost always get past the first level and still have a man left, at least.
Yeah,
but then the second level wiped me out. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, this is hard, but it's not totally off the charts to think that someone can get good enough at this game to get through the entire game.
At least one loop. I agree. I mean, it was hard in the arcade. It's hard here, and I couldn't get off the second level. But
you're great at this.
And much like yourself, you do progress. You feel like you're getting better. You feel like you're seeing more things that you can and can't do. Which really, that's for a 4-level game. That's what you want. You don't want to go in and beat it the first time. You want to progressively get better. Really, I have almost no notes, no flaws for the ZX Spectrum version. Does it look as good as the arcade? Of course not.
Yeah.
The sound is perfectly adequate.
This game, you can see why it was ported in so many machines.
Yeah.
It's portable.
It's doable.
Yeah, you can pull this off. And one of the, this is one of the reasons why I love the ZX Spectrum. And I'm not going to be a homer boy here, but it's true. The ZX Spectrum versions of these games, you never know what you're going to get.
That's
because
true.
they have to take extreme measures to port them to this tiny system.
Yeah.
But the ZX Spectrum offers things, even with all its limitations, that the other machines don't. And one of the things they offer is very nice precision lines, crisp lines. And in a game like this, where you have so much color sync, everything color clash, that stuff works. It works for the backgrounds. How many times have we played games on this show where they do these real fine backgrounds and stuff, and it works because they can render them and make them look nice. And that's what this game has. This game has the cool looking backdrop.
Yeah.
This game has the various window dressing that you need for this. It even has, you can tell the difference in the guys you're fighting. You can tell what they're wearing for the most part.
Sort of.
You know, and they do a good job with that. So I have to say, I thought this was a good quality effort. It also, I thought it played a fair game. I didn't think it was too cheap. I mean, let me rephrase that. It's no cheaper than the arcade version, which is notoriously cheap.
Yeah, I agree. And really, the only thing that I saw that it was missing is I don't believe the Spectrum version has an enemy type that just belly crawls. There are enemies that will get down on their belly, but in the arcade, there were ones that actually get belly crawled, and that's what they did across the screen.
Yeah, you may be on to something there because I do seem to remember that.
But it does have the paratroopers, which I was very surprised by.
Yeah. You gotta have that. You gotta have those dudes. Those guys suck too, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. No, like I said, I was incredibly impressed that they were able to pull off. I mean, I could see back in the day if you were a huge Russian Attack fan, right? But you were gaming on a budget. I can see you getting a ZX Spectrum and this game and being completely happy because the system was affordable. I'm sure this game was no more expensive than the other games that came out at the time.
It was a normal price.
Yeah.
It was a full price one.
So, I think that's fair.
Yeah, because this game it's a popular arcade game coming home. I mean, listen, we both come from the Coco. But Coco's even has something resembling this game, but not this game itself. And when you get a game like this that comes home and they do a decent job, you're happy, you're excited because you don't expect to play it. The magazines of the time like this game. ASM gave this an 85. Our Sinclair gave this an 83. Ace gave it an 80. So it's pretty good scores. You'd think, I actually kind of thought it would score a little bit higher than that.
Well, I would imagine those people would have scored the arcade game that in that area.
You might be right, because that's the one thing about this game, and that's probably the thing that holds it back. The fact that the game it's based on, I don't like.
Well,
and so if you don't like, I'm just saying, if you don't like that game, then you're going to not like this game that much, because that's how close they came to getting it right. We had one Discord review, and I apologize for not putting up reminders on this, but like I said, I've been out of town. But Pajako gave this thing a whirl. He chimes in. He says, this game really should have been called Stabby, Stabby, McStabbin'. Pajako's going to sound like you. Because you do a lot in that game. And it's fan-stabbing-tastic.
It is.
Compared to the arcade, the Spectrum version is more harsh and is straight in with the boot, leaving you on the floor crying before you know what happened. And it feels a little more random with its enemy distribution.
It is.
But it's still manageable, so you stick with it and you'll get into it pretty quick. The main drawback for the Specky is the monochrome sprites. They look great when a lot is going on at once. It's easy to see things get lost in the mix, and you'll miss a bullet and die. That's a valid point. Although I will say that very rarely happened where I miss a bullet.
Well, and in the arcade game, because there's different types of bullets. You'll have some of the people will shoot off the larger weapons, and it's a very visible like flame effect. But a common enemy is a guy that will slowly walk across the screen, stop, pull his weapon out, and fire, and that bullet is tiny. But it's tiny in the arcade.
Yeah. Pajako continues. Gameplay-wise, Green Beret is a 2-button game, and so attempting to play this with anything other than a desktop joystick without easy access to the keyboard it's just not worth the hassle. So just stick with keyboard play.
One note on that: if you are playing with a single button stick,
everyone was back in the day.
You're when you pick up a gun, your stab and gun button are just the same button.
Well,
which cuts down on the
it was not like that on mine.
On a joystick.
Well, no. When I played it, I have to say it didn't do that for me with one button stick. It might have depended on where you're playing it. But I did, so on the version I played, what I did was play with a keyboard. To be honest with you.
Yeah, but how did you shoot?
Well, that's why I stopped using the joystick, because I couldn't actually get it to work. I didn't have a button to. I was playing this on the Mister, and I didn't have a button to. It required a keyboard stroke to make it shoot.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
Yeah, don't do that.
But I mean, this is one you could. I mean, if depending on how you're playing this, especially if you're playing something like the Mister or an emulator, you could. It's no problem to set this up for 2 buttons. But if you're playing on an actual Specky, I would just use a keyboard. I found it too difficult to get over and hit that button. There are a handful of gameplay differences to make the game work on the Spectrum, i.e. the jumping enemies don't hop in the arcade. He's right. Now think about it.
But they're very distinguishedly trash.
And it did occur to me.
Yeah.
The only real annoyance was that jumping on the ladders could spell a disaster if you were in mid-jump trying to take down a jumping enemy and get stuck on a ladder accidentally.
Yeah, the Green Berets definitely trained with Spider-Man, because it's just like that in the arcade.
But it is a solid and playable port that, while a little crunchy in places, the Specky versions easily beat out some of the travesties some of the other 8-bit computer ports. Beeb, MSX, and even Amstrad owners got shafted. He gives this one an 8.5 out of 10.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
When you put this game into perspective, you're paying full price is about £8 over there for a full price Specky game. This game, if you were some kind of genius and you could go all the way through this without dying, you could probably go through the entire game in probably 15 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, about
get through
that.
the whole game. But no one is. No. This is your classic high score game. So we play a lot of these.
No, it's your classic build-up game. You get better over time.
But I mean, it's a high score game.
No one's playing this for high score.
I disagree with you.
No one's playing this for high score.
Dude, it's listed. Maybe no one played it around your area, but for people like me, high score.
No, because you can cheese it.
This is like, you can't cheese it for long.
You can 100% cheese
Okay, we're going to have a high score challenge.
Okay.
We'll see about your cheese.
Because I guarantee I'll just put myself on a ledge and scroll the screen so where all I have is the little bit of ledge before a drop off and a ladder coming up, turn facing the ladder.
But the jumping guy's still going to come in and you're going to be good to go.
The only people that are going to be up to get you are the ones that climb the ladder, and you can just stand there.
We'll see about that.
I'm telling you.
We'll see about that.
No one's playing this.
I want video footage of that.
Okay.
I think people did play this for high score.
No one plays this for high score.
And thank you for stopping over my point, which was some ZX Spectrum games they ship out that are incredibly difficult and long and challenging with hundreds of rooms and whatnot. You've got that category. But then you've got games like this that don't have to be as long because they've got the element of a high score challenge in there, and that's what makes it fun. So, and I disagree with you on that.
No,
Thanks a lot.
What makes this fun is you played it in the arcade and you sucked, and instead of paying $30 in the arcade to get better, you got to bring this thing home, get better on your Spectrum, and feel good about it.
I think it's high score.
Nobody.
Okay. With all that said,
nobody's playing this with all.
I looked, and these are available on eBay for prices that you would expect, $7 or $8 pounds if you're interested in getting them, or even less occasionally, especially if you don't want one with the case. It's no problem there. Well, I'm just saying, some people don't care.
Oh, I get it.
The problem, I always wonder about. We always talk about the prices of these tapes. Do you think, in your experience, and maybe you don't have any, what do you think has more longevity? Loading stuff off tape or off old discs?
Oh, God, they're both horrible.
Because I found my 3.5-inch discs, right before I eventually parted ways with them, were really starting to not work that well.
Well, I mean, both are going to suffer the same fate.
Yeah,
so.
it makes you wonder which is better. That's something, if you've got a thought on that, leave us a little something in the comments. So that'll take that to the house. I do want to mention that our next adventure in Our Sinclair will be coming up August 17th, and we will be looking at a game I've never heard of called Shovel Adventure: The Next Quest. Have you ever heard of that one?
Nope, that's a new one to me.
Shovel Adventure: The Next Quest. Next week, the rotation spins around the BRENT, and we'll be back on ARG Presents, and we're going to be looking at ROM hacks.
Yep.
Next week on ARG Presents, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the week after that, of course, next week, August 3rd, is when we'll be recording that show. August 10th, the premiere of our new show, Meet the New Show, sort of same as the old show. This will be replacing the Atari ST in the rotation. It's Atari Unlimited, where we get in there and there are no limits. That's the point. Any Atari machine is up for consideration.
Anything Atari has touched is fair game.
We are going to have, I don't know if you've issued these instructions yet.
I'm waiting for your list.
We're going to have strict instructions to our game selection committee on how we're going to play it. But you're going to be more important now than maybe you've ever been in picking. So we hope we get a lot of action on the committee to help us pick these systems, because you're going to get the chance to pick systems and concepts. And if there's a system we've never covered on any of the shows that you'd like to see us look at in depth, this would be the opportunity.
Yeah, if it's Atari based.
Shot. Yeah. So anything to say about that?
Well, Aaron, if they want to try their little hands at helping us out and getting some voting done,
yeah,
how would they go about doing that?
I don't know. How do you do it? I don't know.
You know,
I'm not 100% sure how it's going to work at all.
I pass you a softball, and you still miss
After my high score debacle, you get nothing. Go ahead.
If they would like to help us out, you just need to get on our Discord. If you're already a member at the $10 or $15 level for our Patreon, you will have access to the games selection committee.
Yeah.
And if that's something you'd like to do, you can find us on Patreon at The Retro Rotation. And look us up, hit us up, support the show, get in there and give your suggestions, give your opinions on what we should do on Atari Unlimited.
Yeah, or any of the shows we do. All of our shows are pretty much driven by the listener.
Yeah.
The listeners give us what we know, ARG, Our Sinclair, the Atari Unlimited, Coco Show. They're all listener-driven. So if you're a listener, we'd love to have your input. The more, the merrier.
Absolutely.
And we're looking forward to the Atari Show. But I'm also looking forward to the next Our Sinclair. I like everything we do, frankly. So none of these are ever a burden for me. They're always fun.
Yeah.
The only burden really is putting up with your baloney week after week. That's about the only thing that brings me down.
That's fair.
But I love the game so much that I'm willing to put up with.
That's fair.
There you go. So, thanks again for listening, and a big special shout out, since we just mentioned them, to all of our supporters on Twitch, all of our Patreon supporters. We really appreciate you guys, and we appreciate everyone just for listening. If you're listening and you want to just do us a solid, just spread the word, give us a review, stuff like that. We're down with that. You share a link.
Post
maybe
a comment.
Send me a pie. Would also be something.
Wait, I do like pie.
I love pie candy. It's all good. Any parting thoughts this week on Our Sinclair, the Brent, before we take it to the house?
Nope.
All right. We will see you next week for ARG Presents ROM Hacks. And until then, remember to rewind tape
and press stab.